Hi, CUIN 7356 students. I'm Dr. Chad Jones, and welcome to a discussion about this week's assignment where we're going through and you're showing mastery of understanding regarding the concept of differentiating your classroom for your students, specifically in the realm of creativity and innovation. We want to make sure that we have a class that allows students to be creative, innovative, to really show that they've mastered the concepts that you've presented to them. Okay. Now, if I'm going to ask you to pause right here. If you haven't watched the previous video to this one about the lesson cycle, go back and check that out so that we're all on the same page. Okay. So I'll wait. You can pause. Well, I'm not going to pause. You pause me. Go watch that other video and then come back to this. Okay. All right, so if you're still going with us, I'm assuming that you've already watched that video and we're all understanding the basics of the lesson cycle, because that's really important as we do this week's assignment, okay? So let's zoom into this document and talk about what the expectations are for you as you're working through this week's material, okay? So you're going to fill out this Word document and you're going to put your name up here at the top and then again provide a short description of your course and the learners. This should be the same as what you did for Module 1, okay? So you're still developing that course with those same learners and that same lesson, all right? Now let's look at this next section here. List 4 ways that you could respect diversity and support creativity and innovations in the lesson cycle, which we've discussed in a previous video, for your specific course. Check this out. Please cite at least 2 sources you used for the ideas in your chart. So for throughout this document, you're going to be going through and sharing your strategy and discussing that strategy, why it would work, and what some of the downfalls might be. And you need to make sure that you're referencing experts that you read about or you read from during this module's material. Okay, so we have readings in Blackboard for you to check out. Make sure you're referencing those and any additional resources that you investigated on your own as you're filling out this document, okay? Each strategy should have at least 1 citation in it, and then throughout the course of the entire document, you should at least cite 2 different sources. So you can use a source numerous times throughout the entire document, but you have to at least cite 2 different sources in total throughout the whole document, and each strategy should have at least 1 citation on there, okay? So let's look at the individual pieces of what you need to complete here. This first one here, describe strategy 1 to use for the introduction to a module. So you're going to introduce the concept that you're going to teach your students. You're going to activate prior knowledge. You're going to maybe pre-assess, engage your learners, and you're going to discuss what is the academic outcome of this strategy. So what is the goal for your students' learning and why you're using this and why you're going to be using this strategy in this part of the lesson. So what is your goal for introducing the concept? And then you're going to describe the strategy right here. So what are you going to do to help introduce the module? Why would this strategy work? So what is it about this strategy that is going to be effective for your students in your class? And then also, what are the potential problems with using this strategy and how would you resolve those problems? So you're going to discuss what some of the problems you may face in introducing this concept in this way to your students and how you're going to address those. We don't just want to hear about the problems that are going to be there. It's going to be, well, what problems are you going to see and how would you address those problems? Okay. Now, if we look at the document again, we continue with that same basic cycles. Describe strategy 2. To use for the presentation of content in a module. So how are you going to present the content? What is your goal for student learning? What is your strategy going to be for presenting that content? Why is that strategy going to work? And what potential problems and what strategies would you have to help solve those problems as you're delivering the content? Going through the next one here, you're going to discuss how you're going to allow for creativity in working with and practicing the skills in your class. And then the last one here is describe strategy 4 to use for assessing student knowledge in the module. So how are you going to go in and allow for assessment of the content in your lesson, your module for your online course. But remember, as you're answering all of these, the point is you're answering it from the concept of how are you going to allow for creativity and differentiation in each of these areas, what strategy you're going to use to allow for creativity in that piece of your class, okay? At the very end, you're going to do your add your bibliography, where you're going to cite at least 2 different resources that you pulled, two different sources that you pulled and cited throughout your document, and you're obviously going to use APA formatting. If you have questions on that, go check out, you can search APA formatting online. You can, of course, check out the APA manual. It's going to give you exact directions of what to do for that. Okay, so you're going to go through this document, fill it out completely, be very detailed, then you're going to submit to Blackboard on the due date. Make sure you submit it in time so that other students can then go in and check out your work and evaluate what you've provided and learn from you as well.